It's been moved. The proposed rules for the open meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same. Motion carries and the rules are adopted. At this time, if you would, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to have pick out the flag. It's over here at the front. I'm going to hold it. And I'd like to make this acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the first people of the Corpus Christi area, to the Bronco people, past and present, with gratitude for the land itself and the Bronco culture. Pledge of allegiance will be done. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now we're getting down to the business part. Yes. So next on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the 76th annual meeting held virtually on May the 20th, 2021. So these minutes, they appear on pages 4 through 8 in your workbook, were written by our new secretary, Liz Rickle, and approved by, yes, Liz? No, I'm saying that's I saw the hand. We have a complaint. Liz Rickle, it was approved by the league board last summer. Now, all of you, we have to have a motion to approve the minutes from that 76th, May 20th, 21. Is there a motion? Yes. I sorry, you had the wrong date. This is for the last year's. Right. Right. Oh, the agenda piece. Oh, it does indeed. No, that's not it. That's incorrect. So the minutes that you're approving that are in your workbook are from the 76th annual meeting held on May 20th, 2021. Page 5. Page 5. Page 5. Yes, it is correct. All right. Is there a motion to accept that we approve? Would you state your name, please? Lisa Hernandez. Is there a second? So, all right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the 76th annual meeting held virtually on May 20th, 21. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next, oh dear, we have a presentation of the annual financial report. At this time, let me call on Treasurer and now Neil to present the financial report capturing income and expenses from May the 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2022. This is a report only and does not require a vote. The statement appears on, let me check the page number, page 8 of your workbook. Okay, can you hear me? Hello, fellow members. Yes, we get to the really fun portion of today's meeting. I know you all look forward to hearing the financial details of how we gets by from year to year. So it is my job as currently treasurer
to present the LWV CCA financial report for 2021-2022. I welcome your questions and comments, but please hold them until I finish, or the Zoomers can put them in the chat. And I will answer them at the end of the presentation. The financial report is on page 8. And this covers our financial year, May 1, 2021 through April 30, 2022. We began our year on May 1st, 2021 with $11,663.82 in our regular checking account at Frost Bank. Our total income for the year was $15,646.16. Excuse me, just repeating. And our expenses for the year were $14,561.06, which gave us a balance at the end of the year, this financial year, of $12,748.92. As you may note at the bottom of the report, which are these two little boxes down here. We are maintaining a membership recruitment fund that will work through the line item listed as community support and contributions, both in income and in expense. We will track those extra funds donated by members and use them to recruit and assist primarily new students, but also any adult member that may be recommended as a new member, but may have financial difficulty paying a full membership. Please feel free to contact me if you have someone in mind, and we will give the name to the board. As you'll see, that's wrong. There's $185 in there. I thought it only shows 30 in the book. I'm sorry, I probably sent that to you incorrectly. See, please don't feel like you need to donate heavily or at all to this fund. It's simply another tool to help build and diversify our membership. The other box at the bottom of the report shows the current standing of the annual March suffrage event. This event is composed of a coalition of local nonprofit organizations, which originally funded the 2020 100th anniversary Women's Equality Day celebration. The event was, of course, canceled because of COVID. So we laid funds aside and decided to use them for the 2021 event, which was also canceled. At that point, we knew we had the March for the Vote 2022 event coming up. We contacted all of the donors and asked if they would agree to let us use this fund for the March for the Vote. There was some income when we actually had the event. And then there were some expenses. And all in all, we still have a balance of $2,266.35, which is down from $2,875 that we started with. So that event and the funds that we hold in trust will have to be self-sustaining. If we start losing money and it runs out, we just have to do a better job in the future. Okay. So many thanks to everyone who has assisted me over the 3 years I've continued in this position. And if there is anyone who would like to begin learning this position, this year will be it's the end of my second term, and it will be my last term. So thank you everyone for your interest in our financial situation. And are there any questions? Anybody in chat? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I was
reading the numbers, you were giving me other numbers. Yes. I'm sorry, I was reading the numbers for and this is. Yeah. No. Well, I apologize, I have discrepancy. I will find out which one is correct, the ones that I,
Red, yeah.
the ones that I read, or the ones that are.
Well, now what was happening is we were looking at the financial report from last year, and you were giving us the figures to the proposed budget. I was, match, a lot of something match. The proposed budget.
First year. And in time, we had 15,000 expenses against the budget. And we had expenses. In the budget, we didn't have expenses. So in the financial report, I will put that in. And I will send it out to the membership. I have the records. I apologize. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much, Janelle. It is a difficult task. It is. It is a very difficult. So, please, I know that there's some people out here who are numbers people. So I have my eyes. All right, well, you know, to this, yeah. And another thing, you know, how many times have you had to use the word canceled? Does it have one L or two L's? It's been a long 2 years. Anyway, thank you so very much for the annual financial report. And now, very much. So now, we're going to have a presentation of the proposed budget for this new year, 2022 to 2023. So I'm calling on lead member Chris Garcia to present the proposed budget for 2022-2023. She is reporting from Mary Kay, who served as chairperson of the budget committee and was unable to join us this evening. Please turn to page 9 in your workbook. Chris. This is like it's not.
Can you hear me if I use the mic?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. I am presenting this report for Budget Chair Mary Kay Fant and other members of the committee included Annelle Neal, Liz Riggle, and myself. You're on page 9 in your workbook. The responsibility of the budget committee is to review the past year's budget, look at actual income and expenses from previous activities, anticipate what activities are coming up that might be planned for the coming year, and prepare a document to be considered at this annual meeting. This proposed budget, once adopted, can be amended by the board as circumstances arise that impact either income or expenses. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 shows both anticipated income and expenses of $17,454. And of course, that represents a balanced budget. As all of you are aware, the league is completely volunteer now. We have no office space, nor do we hire any assistants. And you'll note that the league retains very little of the total dues that we collect, less than $650 or so. So fundraising for the league, of course, is important, which means in the budget, your committee must identify events or projects carefully that we might sponsor and receive funds that support our mission. So as you look at the page that you're on, you're looking at income. And let me just address some of those things. You may have some questions and just kind of make a note, but income streams are important. And you'll notice that we're projecting total income of $17,454. You'll see that those line items are not numbered, but I'll speak to those in order. You'll see anticipated income from membership. You'll see the hope that in-person meetings with meals might begin again. You'll recall before COVID, we held about 8 luncheon meetings, and some of you ordered a sandwich or salad there. And so we hope to perhaps resume that, and your budget committee with the board's approval is anticipating that we might resume some of those meetings. You'll see some special events listed as income that we might hold this next year, such as the annual Women's Equality Day celebration in August, the annual celebration. And then looking ahead to 2023, the March for the Vote, which would be restaged and tweaked in some way, but a wonderful celebration. A special event with a meal, for example, would generate funding from those planning to attend. If there's any kind of an event where we would collect money. So your budget committee has projected very, very conservatively on what might draw a crowd and how much would we have the meal for, that sort of thing. The topic of community support, we anticipate some community support either from our sale. We do sell voters' guides to local organizations for them to place in their employee workroom. So we do receive some funds from that special outreach. And also several of our members give undesignated contributions through the year. And so that represents that community support. And then you'll note a line item for advertising space, which is available for purchase by members in the monthly newsletter, The Voter. And that, of course, is wonderful funding. As long as we publish a newsletter and have gathered that money, that's a great source of income. And we can handle a few more advertisements in The Voter if your company wants to be represented there. All right, so those represent our streams of income. Might you have a question that you want to pose? Lisa.
Why are credit card fees in -300 in the income section?
Well, I'm going to ask, I had that same question because I just couldn't put my arms around it, but Anel has been directed, has some direction from above. So Anel, explain that. Okay. And you also noticed it in the financial statement that we just approved.
Yeah. What happens when I do the financial statement at the end of the month? I want it to balance. I want the total income to balance and the total expenses to balance, and then come to the same final balance that we have on the checking account. And what happens is when we get our credit card statements and our PayPal statements, they are listed on the bank statement as the income minus the credit card fees. And so in order to get our income to balance, we need to be able to put those credit card fees in the financial statement on the income side in order to show what we actually did receive. So we put all of the, whether they're memberships, luncheon payments, donations, whatever it is, PayPal or the Square account is going to take their share. And that's what goes into the bank. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Anil. Any other questions on income streams? As you think about that in the next few days, don't hesitate to send an email to our president, to our treasurer, to me, and we'll try to explain something if you've got a question about it. Now, please turn your attention to the expenses side. There again, you start off with your top of your list per member payments that we remit to both the Texas League and the National League. And it's important for us to all remember that we're in that umbrella and how important it is to be a part of the Texas League and the US League. Actual costs of meals or the staging of special events, we tried to project a number to stage a couple of those things in the income side. We want to also project some community support and outreach that would include items. These are expenses. Some of you know that over the years, we've joined with the YWCA on one of its special luncheons, that Equal Pay Day luncheon. And sometimes a group such as the Y might ask the league, would you come in with $50 or $100 gift? And that's a great partnership and a coalition. And so we've always been glad to do that. You see an expense associated with Club Express, the league's new website, launched at the national level for all state leagues to consider and all local leagues. And Debbie Noble has led us through that transition. And we've got some expenses that are tied to that. And most of these expenses have been verified. We don't expect any surprise. We've done our homework and we know that those numbers should hold true. You see some expenses associated with voter services and voter registration. Whether we're publishing the voter's guide and paying for that newsprint through the Caller Times, or whether we participate in an event like Art Walk or Earth Day, May Day, that might require some registration to have our table there. And so we want to make sure that we've got funds for that. Administrative items are typical for an organization, whether it's postage, supplies, and of course the PO box rental, which has gone up every year for the last 3 or 4 years. We're not sure where the post office will stop with that, but we've had our post office box always at Gulfway Center. You'll see expenses associated with staging a couple of those key events like Women's Equality Day and the March for the Vote. There again, the board has not made any firm decisions on what those activities will be, but we projected a number that we thought we might live with, at least for a proposed budget. You'll see a line item toward the bottom for leadership training or travel. Most of us, including your president, will travel at her or his own expense. And we do that regularly, whether it's regional training, but sometimes a special event like lobby days in Austin at the start of the legislative session might draw a group where having some mileage for the driver is important. But I do want you to know we pay our own rooms, we take care of our own meals. And so if we get a little mileage, whoever's driving, that's fantastic. But you'll notice how low that number is. It's not a huge number. So most of us are traveling at our own expense. And then that line item for program advocacy. It helped balance the budget, but we added that a year or two ago. We've had such a wonderful program in place for the league this last year, winding up a study. And there are sometimes some expenses there that may not need to come out of administrative or supplies, but that we could attribute to program and advocacy. And that committee, of course, doesn't have anything in mind, but we wanted them to know that they're represented in the budget. At the bottom of this page, you'll also notice that our treasurer, Anil Neal, has put those 2 notes again about monies that are held in escrow that are separate from these funds so that they're not spent inadvertently. One of those is the March, the other is that membership related fund. Are there any questions now about some of the expenses that might just be troubling you at this moment? All right. Seeing none. Catherine, if you'll call for a motion in a second, that concludes our.
Thank you, Chris. I will entertain a motion now to accept, this financial report. Sylvia Whitworth,
I move that we accept the financial budget.
thank you. Thank you. Is there a second? Peggy Vinales? Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting the proposed budget, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Thank you. All right, now moving on. We're looking at the proposed amendments to the LWDCA bylaws. Let me call on Anil Neal again, who served as chairperson of the Bylaws and Policy Review Committee, to review the proposed amendments to the league's bylaws. The report appears on page 10 in your workbook.
Okay, so this page in the workbook describes the 3 bylaw amendments proposed earlier this spring. There's no wording or intent change. We did present this to the board of directors in the March or April, and they were approved at that point to go forward to the membership to see, to inspect, and to vote on. However, the wording was involved enough that we thought they should be presented as amendments to the membership. The dues version, which was Article 6, Section 2, was brought about because of our turnover into Pub Express and the massive change that has made in the way that we're doing this. So both the previous bylaws wording and the approved changes are shown here. Okay, so the original version, the current version, is on top. And Article 4 is regarding the president, and that is just some wording change. Article 6 is due to the financial administration. It's going to read quite differently from the proposed version. Is going to read differently than the current version. Principles and program. The principles and concepts of government adopted by the National Convention and supported by the League in a whole. The principles and the authorization for the adoption of national, state, and local programs. And the added wording was the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area is dedicated to and defends democracy and representative government, especially the attributes of peaceful transfer of power and elections free from intimidation. Would you, anyone need me to read the others? That's the other one where we added just a whole different bit of wording to it. Are there any questions? No. Yes.
Thank you, now. Is there a motion to adopt this change in the bylaws? Alice?
And I second.
And Chris,
Madam President, I move that we accept proposed amendments to bylaws.
Thank you. Chris,
Chris Garcia, second.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the changes to our bylaws, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. I want to thank you, the department team for finance and for doing the bylaws. The amount of work and time that you put into those tasks is just incredible. And so I want to thank Chris and I want to thank Annelle in particular and Alice and Sally Ferris. Wave, Sally. Hi, Sally. And Sally. And Liz as well. And so I thank you. And then the bylaws committee, there's Annelle and there's Chris and there is Alice and Liz and Sally.
Same one.
Same and Sally. So they had double duty doing those two important documents that are essential to who we are as an organization. So our much thanks to both of all of you for doing that. We appreciate it very, very much. Now we come to an extremely important part of our program tonight, and that is our proposed program for 2022 and 2023. Adopting the proposed program is an important agenda item. The proposed program is found on pages 12 and 13. But please, first, I want you to turn to page 30. At the very bottom of page 30, you'll see a word that's similar to, it is like the little purple reminder that you got to say, look at this and read through it so that you understand what the process is going to be with respect to voting on the program. Is there anyone here who doesn't know what program means in legal terminology? Very good. That's exciting. I'm glad to know that. Very, very nice. Are there any questions? I'll give you another minute to read through it. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Hearing none, it's my pleasure now to call on Julie Rogers, Vice President of Program, to take us through this document.
Good evening, everyone. All right, we're using the consent agenda because we have a hefty ambition here. And we wanted to consider time to help us move through it quickly. And in order to do that too, I'm going to walk through. So look at your list and I'm just going to say some things about it so you understand. All right. And we're going to start with what the beginning proposal is, second Saturdays. That's on page 12. Everybody see it? Yeah. All right. We had a great program last year, y'all. Who all participated in second Saturdays last year? It was fantastic. So we developed that because Catherine and I and several others participated in the lobby days. And people were so excited. We said, what can we do to keep this going? And so we came up with this idea that we would start meeting on second Saturdays because we didn't want to use all the time that we have in our monthly meetings. And that gave us the opportunity to get together, and we devoted ourselves totally to redistricting. And I think everyone did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Redistricting is one of our priority issues. The other priority issue is voting and voting rights.
And so when we started talking about what we could do next year, many of our members indicated that they were concerned about voting turnout. And that they wanted to increase voting turnout. We do such a great job registering voters, but what happens when they don't go to the polls? And so based on that, what we're going to try to do is start up for second Saturdays an empowering voters project that would concentrate on voter turnout and also voting rights. Okay, and the one way we can do is to follow our other leagues. So we can look at San Antonio League. They've got a great program. And we'll be doing that if this passes. We'll also continue our work with the Fair Maps Coalition. They are starting a Voting Rights Act campaign coalition. And as a matter of fact, we have our first call tomorrow. I just found out about it. And it's at 2:00 p.m. The coalition with Fair Maps, it is so many groups, I can't even tell you them all. But it's a wonderful group of people. And tomorrow's call is hosted by New Heights Communications. They think it's going to be about 30 minutes. If this passes the program and you're interested in joining, get in touch with me after this meeting and I'll give you the Zoom information. And if this passes, the first meeting for second Saturdays would be July 9th from 10 to 11. And at that meeting, what we would do is, you all know, we're a grassroots organization, which means that members decide what we're going to do. This is just a guide. In that first meeting, we would come up with some more ideas. So that's second Saturdays on voting. The next idea is that we continue to hold a series of diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations with 2 minimum. We'd love to try to have more, but we need to set some kind of goal and that would be 2 minimum. Some examples we've already come up with was that intellectual freedom in light of the book challenges and book bans that are occurring state and nationwide and perhaps even locally. We also have talked about how to understand and honor our Indigenous people. I claim Alice Hawkins, you met her earlier. Alice, you want to raise your hand? She's our director of DEI, and she is willing to take suggestions and volunteers. All this can move if we have volunteers. All right, the next idea is that last year, you remember, we started carving ourselves up into units, and we did that based on our positions. And so we want to continue with these units, and they are natural resources, local government, and the public health units. The redistricting team can move to local government unit or the second Saturdays and empower movers. The local government has positions to be reviewed and needs to continue advocating for the independent redistricting commissions, especially with the county who has already showed interest. We also need to recruit observers specifically for natural resources, local government, and the public health units to serve the important function of protecting your right to know and ensure that government is transparent on monitoring not only the issues being discussed by local governmental bodies, but also the process by which they're being discussed. Members who volunteer for the Observer Corps attend meetings of local government bodies such as the City Council, the County Commissioners, Board, and others to follow the proceedings, take notes, and report back to the League. Observers aren't at the meeting to testify or speak, but rather to monitor. Their presence lets elected and appointed officials know that ordinary citizens are paying attention to the decisions being made and will hold them accountable. Brief reports will be submitted by the Observer Corps members to keep the League up to date on local policy issues and help determine if action should be taken on any League policy priorities. This is a really exciting addition to the program, and I know it's something that our president wants to see happen. She knows that it will help us a lot. So we also want to continue the updates at our membership meetings, the monthly meetings. The way we've been doing it is they are related to the local league, the League of Texas, and the National League positions, and members can help by identifying positions and finding speakers with expertise relating to the position. And then we need to continue reviewing local positions. If you remember, that was our program from last year. So we aren't finished. That was a big thing to chew off, and we need to keep going with it. These are some that still need to be reviewed. They're listed under local government, transportation, method of electing Corpus Christi Independent School District trustees, charter review, method of electing city council members, and city charter revision. We also have 3 positions on natural resources that need to be reviewed: tourism and conventions, parks and rec, and sand dunes. We're asking you to adopt this local position, the local government, municipal government, to support council manager form of government. We're asking you to do that because it still provides the city with the needed continuity, responsibility, accountability, and expertise. We're also asking you to adopt the proposed amendment for this local position. It's on page 12 and 13, the Bayfront Master Development Plan, page 12 and 13. So you'll see the existing position, and then you'll see the proposed amendments. The existing position that you have before you is a little longer than you see the ones that are under the summary, so that you can understand why we're doing review and amending. So for years, people have done great work and they've been using the summaries. And then we discovered that we've got a beautiful history with the positions and that there's a lot more information contained in them. And so those are the ones we've been working with. So the reason we were able to amend this particular position is that the revisions did not require an extended study. We were able to make them in order to keep the essence of the existing amendment. And that essence of the existing amendment is that the Bay is a unique asset. And we were able to get input and help from our members to amend it. Peggy Duran, Sylvia Campos, and Alice Hawkins helped with the revisions. The next thing we need to lay out for you is that we're asking that we stop the review and we don't adopt these local positions because they both require new studies because they're over 40 years old. And that would be the emergency ambulance service updated consensus and the development of Corpus Christi Beach. The positions and their histories will be memorialized and will be available. They will also be useful in the future for any new study that they wants to conduct relating to these issues. And that is what we are proposing to the board.
Is there a motion to adopt the proposed program for 2022-2023?
I propose to hang on just a second. Are we voting on page 13 revised proposed amendment for the local position? Is that what we're voting on?
We're going to use a special rules of order because it's such a long piece, and that's why we adopted a consent agenda.
Right. We're voting on all of them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question, Liz. That was a good question to clarify. So is there Sylvia? Sylvia Campos made the motion. Is there a second? Lisa Hernandez. Lisa Hernandez. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of adopting items 1 through 9, proposed program, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion passes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Julie, and thank you for the advocacy of our. At this time, I'd really like to, we have some other business to go forward, but at this time, I'd like to just do a special call out to those of you who participated in the work of the advocacy this past year. And one of the stellar things that we had going for us, excuse me. Many of you know that at our last annual meeting, we approved and adopted the position statement for lead in the drinking water in Corpus Christi. That has given us an amazing foundation for which to advocate. And we have been able to do that. The Public Health Committee that is Linda Snyder is the chair of. She is on her way to Vermont for the summer, so we remain for the summer. And so we wish her well. But they were able to really begin to bring this to the spotlight because of the work that they did. In fact, to the point that at our state convention this past March, we were invited to do a presentation on this study, on this project that we had. What did we do? What were the ins and outs? This is an invitation, which is pretty awesome because we were one of a handful of real leagues that did presentations at state convention. So I would like to say thank you to all of you. Ron Schiller. Ron, can you wave for us? We can't see you, Ron.
Sally's.
Yeah. Ferris. Yeah. So because of their work, and we know that that's going to continue, I do have to say that we are a superstar league, and this was recognized at state convention. So we are a superstar league from 2022. Let me read it to you. You can come up and read it for yourself. This is LWVCCA Corpus Christi League Program at Work in the Community. Virtuoso. For their amazing work on lead in the city's drinking water. Truly a study that leads to action. Amazing. Here. So thank you, all of you who have worked on this. Thank you for knowing that there's still work to be done and to be carried out. So this is an example of what we can do. We are mighty men, mighty women and men. And we can make good things happen. So again, we need to think of ourselves as a star, a virtuoso star league. So thank you. Now, moving on, we're to the report of the nominating committee. Let me now call on Teresa Carrillo, who served as chairperson of the 2021-2022 nominating committee. She will present the report of that committee. That can be found on page 11 in your work.
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me back there? I don't know about y'all, but I'm exhausted going through the programs, all that financial, all that. I was like, whoa, and Sally and Ron's lead study. Oh my gosh. This is an amazing organization. You guys have done awesome. It's amazing. And not to be outdone, the nominating committee had a really fantastic group. I was fortunate that the finger of fate, that finger being on the body of Peggy Dugan, touched me. And Peggy said, "How would you like to do the nominating committee?" And I said, "Well, I mean, I don't really know anything about it, but how hard can it be?" So anyway, it was very much fun. Thank you, Peggy. I really did enjoy it. Thank you. And you know, it occurred to me that I needed to have some very experienced and well-versed members, and Judy Telge and Sally Ferris agreed to be on the committee. And at the time at the annual meeting, they were elected by the board. And in addition, the board nominated members of the nominating committee were Alice Upshaw Hawkins and Paula Brighton. And so I had two board members as well as my two heavy hitters. So I really appreciate all of y'all. I mean, they did it all, you know. I just was like, whoa, okay, here, we'll do this. So I bring your attention then to I don't remember what page it is now. Page 11. Okay, so we start out with what authority we're operating under. And in the bylaws, Article 4 is the bylaw, part of the bylaws that addresses the officers, the election of the officers. And if you read through that, the president, a vice president, and treasurer, and two directors are elected in odd years, but this is an even year. So we have two vice presidents, the secretary, and a director who shall be elected in even numbered years. And Article 8, also part of our authority, describes how the nominating committee is to be staffed. And we have a chair and two members who were not members of the board, and that's where Sally and Judy were helpful. And then the board selected appointed members were Alice and Paula. And I thank you all very much for Alice and Paula and Sally. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, so helpful. And Judy, just so amazingly helpful. And on the right side of the page, you also have the listing of the candidates. And for 2-year term, we have for secretary, Liz Riggle. Liz very kindly wanted to continue, and we really appreciate it. She's done an amazing job on the minutes. I mean, they're like, boom, boom. She gets them done really fast. We really appreciate that. And Vice President of Programs, Julie Rogers. Julie, you saw what Julie has been able to accomplish in 1 year. 1 year. And so this is going to be her opportunity to more fully flesh it out. Vice President for Member Services, Sylvia Campos. Already Sylvia has done an amazing job in 1 year. So this gives Sylvia another chance to flesh out what she's been doing. And for media communications, we have a newcomer, Tim Dowling. Is Tim here tonight? No, okay, okay. And let's see, we have one kind of bittersweet thing, and that's that Paula will be moving away and having fun and driving around the country and enjoying RV parks and all kinds of stuff. I'm just making that up. But because Paula will be moving her position, which will have 1 more year to it, we nominated Eli Mckay, who's already been doing an amazing job. And you know, the only thing I really wish that I had done, which I didn't do, was to put like a little bio of Eli on here. So
I don't know if anybody needs to hear from Eli and wants to hear a little bit about her.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you just tell us a little bit, Eli,
Sure.
so that you'll know who you're voting for.
Definitely. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eli Mckay. I have lived in the area for, it'll be 11 years in July, so I feel like it's at least a lifetime, right? So I started doing a little bit in my life. But ever since I've tried to do everything I can, especially at the local level, because I think that's what's most important. So hopefully that's good enough. If you have any questions, I'll come and talk to me after. I'd love to.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Eli. So there's one other position on here, and that's a one-year term, and that would be our chair for a nominating committee. And we selected Sally Ferris. Sally very graciously agreed to chair the nominating committee for 2022-2023. And Sally, would you like to say anything about that? Can you unmute yourself, Sally? No, okay, well, you know Sally. She did the lead study. She helped with all these other things, so. Thank you so much, and I don't know, oh, I'm sorry, members of the nominating committee that Sally has asked to help her are Goldie Upshaw Wooten and Sylvia Tryon Oliver.
Yeah.
And oh, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So I don't know, Sylvia, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? Okay.
Born and raised in Corpus Christi, all 20 years. And let's see, just about a year ago, I retired from being the president and CEO of the Corpus Christi Black Chamber after 17 years. So I'm going on to lay low. And then Alice hit me with storm. So I'm in it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you so much, Sylvia. So it will be the job of the board then to select the 2 additional members, which that will happen at the board retreat as it comes along. So I believe that I am finished here. The other officers, Catherine Aller will continue to serve as president for through the annual meeting of 2023. Anel will continue to serve. Anel Neal as our treasurer through 2023. Debbie Noble will continue to serve as our website director and social media, and Alice Hawkins will continue to serve through 2023 as Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Oh, and Ann Stewart will continue to be our immediate past president through 2023. So that's her say. Thank you all very much. It was a privilege. And I turn this over to our Madam President.
Thank you very much, Teresa, and thank you excuse me, to the nominating committee. I have to ask at this time, are there any nominations from the floor for these positions? Hearing none, then hearing none, then we'll say that Eli, Tim, Sally, Sylvia, and Goldie are hereby elected for their various roles in the, Colleen?
I would just say, but we didn't actually move on.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So the slate is Tim Dowling, Eli Mckay, okay. Tim Dowling as Director for Media Communications, Eli Mckay for the one-year term of Vice President for Voter Services, Sally Ferris as Chairperson of 2022-23 Nominating Committee, Sylvia Tryon Oliver and Goldie Wooten are nominated to serve as elected members of the 2022-23 Nominating Committee. There are no nominations from the floor, right? Okay. So all those in favor, this is going to be by acclamation for all. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Wow. Done.
Motion to accept slate of officers. I think shared.
Yes,
Colleen
Colleen did, and
Johnson.
Colleen Johnson,
Okay, thank you.
and Peggy Banyala seconded.
David Johnson and Peggy. And Peggy Bennett.
Yes.
That's.
Very good. Now, I really would like for those people just been elected to make their way here.
I'm sorry, we're all gonna come.
Yes, all of you, all of you.
And those.
And all the officers, right? So all of the officers, I want the ones who are newly elected, as well as those who are continuing. Would you please come to the front?
Madam President, we have our installing.
Yes, it is my. Thank you. Judge Hassett. Judge Hassett is, judge of the 48th District Court, 28, excuse me.
It's not go. Do you want, do I need a mic or no? Yes, okay.
I think the people on.
Okay. Y'all ready?
So excited?
Yeah. All right, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to install the new board members elected tonight, as well as those continuing to serve during the coming year, the League of Women Voters of Corpus Christi Area Board of Officers and Directors. Thank you for accepting these important leadership roles. The league has served without interruption for 77 years to benefit you of this community, so thank you very much. I know I've been a benefit of your good work. So as incoming board members, I have 3 questions to pose to you. And raise your right hand. The first question is, and if you say yes, you will say we will. So if yes, say we will. First question. Will you serve to the best of your ability in your respective roles and work as a team to accomplish all league business?
We will.
Will you continue to promote the league's mission statement to empower voters and defend democracy, working constantly to encourage all voters to participate in their government through voting process and through increased knowledge of public policy?
We will.
And last question, will you work to grow the membership with special emphasis on reaching your younger members who will be the league's future leaders and continue the wonderful legacy of the League of Women Voters?
We will.
Yes. Now you may put your hands down. I now declare you duly installed officers and directors of the League of Women Voters for your designated 2-year or 1-year terms. Best wishes to each of you, and I'm sure we'll be very successful in the next 77 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sally's up there. Sally.
Let's do the model.
Yes. It helps to hide things. All right. No. Thank you. Watch out for the fire. Next year.
say is, wow, this is an amazing group of women. Thank you all. I do want to share some special thanks with you. I want to say special thanks, thank you to those who will be serving on the board in the next 12 months. You are amazing people. And we're so glad that you are going to be on this amazing team in this amazing organization. And I want to thank all of you league members and guests who support this organization. I hope all of you will remain engaged in league business and activities. And I want to acknowledge first those who are leaving the board. Chris Davis Garcia, Director, would you stand up, please, Chris? Director of and a two-time former president. Chris worked with the local news media this past year on local voter activities through the vote. Thank you so much, Chris. Paula Brown, Vice President for Voter Services. Who has served admirably in the league through the past 2 years of COVID, helping organize virtual candidate forums and producing voters' guides, plus learning the ins and outs of both online and online voters' guide. Thank you, Paula. We will. I do want to again just thank Teresa Carrillo and her nominating committee, Sally Ferris, Judy Towles, Allison Shaw, and Paul Wright. It can be challenging to get a slate of officers in place, and we thank you for your dedicated work. We also want to thank, particularly today, Sylvia Campos, because she has set a record in terms of she reached her goal. And we are excited to announce that we now have 50 members of League Women Voters.
I want 200 for next year.
So right now, I would like for all of the this 2021, 2022 officers to come forward, please. Sylvia, Paula, Debbie, Liz, if you can, please. Yes, Julie.
We don't know what year it is.
The current, well,
I'm going to take a picture of you.
yes, this is another Kodak moment. All right.
What about, Captain, get in here.
Thank you.
I want to.
Show this year, all the work and hours of work and believe it's coming in really as a wrong. I've been for a few years and I'm presidents of Corpus for a long time. It has been one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And so as we move forward, I want you to be thinking about that, thinking about the future. I want you to be tricky. Is it hard work at times? But is it worth it? It's totally worthwhile. Absolutely. So all of these women, every single one, of them, hours and weeks, months to get to this point where we are now. And I am just amazed and very humbled by the work that they have done.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I-
you for your.
Thank you. So we have a little something for you. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Our favorite color. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I think they are all stars. And we love them. All right, thank you. I do believe we have accomplished every item on our agenda tonight. I want to thank you all for attending, whether in person or Zoom. Is there any further business to come before the league at the 77th annual meeting? Lisa?
Now, as a primary mention of.
Excuse me,
As
just,
of yesterday, 1.27% of the eligible voters of the county have voted in the runoff election. This runoff from both sides of the aisle. You guys, get me for the vote, please.
this is so true. Get out the vote is going to be a very important part of our work in the next year. So if there, oh, we have some door prizes. Yes. Right.
I have 2 more questions.
I've lost the questions.
Hold on.
All right, we still have door prizes. Okay, a couple more door prizes.
As y'all know, we have the March for the vote. And what that symbolizes, or what that celebrates, is in 1913, before the inauguration of a particular president, women from all over the country descended on Washington and demanded the vote. And can anyone tell me the name of that president? First over here. Thank you. Okay, you can tell me the name of the president when it was ratified. I think it was the one after Wilson. No, well. Google. What I took the question from was a banner that said Harding Coolidge. So it was Harding and then Coolidge, was not, was that the way that the vote went?
I'm just looking at the list of presidents.
I'm gonna call that person up. Okay. This. I don't have a question for this one because I work with the companies.
Let's ask you to volunteer for.
Sylvia Whitworth won this. She won twice in a row at our last door prizes, at the March, and then again at the meeting, I think it was. And so she said, I don't need all of this, please donate it to us. So.
Whose birthday is set today? Whose birthday is it?
It is Sandra Heatherly's birthday.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well, it's refreshing to know that we know our history. So let me ask once again, is there any further business to come before us this evening? Thank you. Is there, that was Becky Moeller? Becky Moeller. There you go.
Don't have places to go, it's good.
All in favor, say aye. The motion to adjourn passes. We stand adjourned. Please, Mr.
Thank you.